The first quilt that I ever made was for my little fella, this 22. He was probably 2-ish at the time, something like that. So he was I was maybe 24, and it looked as good as the first quilt could look, but I was proud of it. Man, I was proud of it. And I, at the time, worked full-time at our local newspaper. Well, our local newspaper was owned by this precious lady, Miss Carolyn, and Miss Carolyn's mother, Miss Lovey, was a quilter. And so here I go, dragging my quilt to Miss Lovey's house because I was tickled and I needed her to brag on me. I wanted her to see what I had created so she could brag on me. And I went in and I showed it to her, and she did exactly that. She just bragged and bragged. And I very proudly told her, Miss Lovey, I'm going to take this quilt home and I'm going to fold it up and I'm going to put it in the top of his closet so that when he's an adult, he will have it. And she said, absolutely not, Tammy. And I was taken aback because I thought she was going to be so proud of me for cherishing something, for wanting to have this heirloom for him. But that's not what she said. She said, if you put that in the top of his closet, he'll never get to enjoy it. It will never mean anything to him because it will be that quilt that was folded up in the top of my closet. And it has resonated with me, and I've thought about that so many times because I didn't. I took it home and I laid it on his bed, and that's what he used, and I traded it out as I made another quilt that was better and I was more proud of than the first quilt. And the first thing he said is, Mom, where'd my quilt go? And I said, well, baby, I got you a new one. Don't you like it? And he said, no, I want my old quilt back. It had my rhodes on it. And he was using the strips in between the pieces of fabric, and the fabric were his clothes, his baby clothes that I had used to make this quilt out of, and the strips in between it were cotton, and he was using that for the roads for his cars. And so I took the new quilt off and put the old quilt on, and he drug that quilt everywhere. He took it to Little League games, on road trips. It spent the night with him in the tent when he crossed over from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts. It has been around the world and back, and that quilt is so special to him and to me. So Miss Lovey was right, and I'm here to tell you, use the quilts. Use the quilts. That's what they're made for. Every quilt is stitched with love for that person that it was made for, and every quilt has a story. And if your quilt doesn't have a story, then in a few years, it will. You will use it, and it will become so sentimental to you and your family, to your kids and grandkids. It's what it's for. It's what your mom intended it for. That's what I intend mine for. I hope my family uses them and wears them out, and then I get to make another one. My name is Tammy. I'm your favorite sewing teacher, and I would love for you to come sew with me.